What is up, my friends? Jeff and I are on our way to Japan, and we took a little detour to hang out with my buddy Manar Sagawa, president of Lucky Craft USA, one of the funniest dudes I know, and just one of my good friends in this industry. So thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for coming.
We are going to just pick Manaro's brain and have a little hangout session, bring you guys into kind of the world that I love to have in some of these conversations and find out what's happening with Lucky Craft, what's happening with the bass fishing industry or the fishing industry in general. So if you guys would like to join along and be a part of the fun conversation, let's have some fun. Welcome to the Hookup Tackle.
Oh, what a
Yeah. Look at that.
That was sick. Cheers, my friends. Happy Sunday. All right, guys, some breaking news. What's new this week at the Hookup Tackle?
What a beautiful coastal fish. Look at that.
Look at that gut on that.
That's a nice fish.
All right, welcome back, my friends. I am Ben with the Hookup Tackle, Tackle Otaku on Instagram, being joined by Mr. Lucky Craft USA on Instagram. Lucky Craft USA, Lucky Craft Japan, Lucky Craft everything on Instagram, right?
Thank you.
It's all on your shoulders.
I try to.
Yes, you do a good job. So this is my buddy Manar Sagawa, president of Lucky Craft USA, Mr. President.
Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Mr. President, where is my Orion beer?
Sorry. I thought I was concerned about your driving all the way back to Lux Airport. So.
Driving, I take an Uber. I took an Uber just so I could enjoy Orion
Oh,
here.
I didn't know that. Sorry about it.
Okay, well, you owe me one. Okay. So we are here. First off, before we get to baits, thank you so much for, being a part of our community, and talk to me about what's happening at Lucky Craft. Obviously, I've been sharing with, our customers and our employees and our community about, the earthquake that happened earlier this year in January and how much that affected Lucky Craft. Give us a quick status update on how things are going and what's happening in that area.
First of all, thank you very much for all of the fundraising and all of the encouragement through the SNS. We deeply appreciate, and all of the Japan members also appreciating everything what you have done.
Of course.
The January right after the earthquake, we had everybody was losing all the word. Everybody didn't know what to do and what to say. That was about the first week of the January, and then from second week of January, everybody start to feel like what they need to, what they have to. So we started from the simply like cleaning out all of the warehouse, and then we get back to work again. But since everybody, all the people were evacuated to the, since their house is distracted, they had to evacuate. So approximately 40 to 50% of the worker couldn't come to work.
It's crazy.
So that was in January. Through the February to March, we gradually have everybody start to work again. So right now, approximately 30 to 40% of the people still not working at the warehouse, working at the factory, but we need to go through with this. So, but again, I deeply appreciate everybody's encouragement and support. So thank you so much.
Yes. Well, we're glad to see you getting on your feet, even though it's little by little. I mean, obviously, we're all hoping for you to be back to not just 100%, but I love Lucky Craft,
Thank you
and
very much.
Jeff and I and you were talking about some stories about what got us into Lucky Craft, like early classic victories of Takahiro Mori and Brent, and like these really cool, like deeply rooted memories of the brand. So I really hope that things return. Is there anything that our community can do to just pass messages on to those workers that are still struggling with, not having homes and still living out of gyms, as I understand it, right? Is there anything that we can do here from the U.S. that could pass good vibes, good energy on to employees?
Yeah, well, Lucky Cat Japan is, as you know, we are from very countryside of the people, so we are very hesitant to say that what we want to, but everything you have done through the social media and all the words and encouragement, that's super, we appreciate. So all of what we want to do is we want to continue to manufacture the lures, and if you could enjoy the fishing, then that's all we want to.
Deal.
So, yes.
Well, we'll enjoy fishing as much as we can.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So let's get to fishing. Let's
Yes.
start talking about
Yes.
that. So, one of the things that I really enjoy about you is that you are a fisherman, of course. We fish quite a bit, although we
Yes.
haven't in quite some time.
Yeah.
So we need to rekindle that. But you study not just Lucky Craft and what's happening within Lucky Craft, but you study trends, you study what other manufacturers are doing, from colors to styles to baits, and you are constantly a student of this industry.
Yes.
Talk to me where that came from. I mean, as I see, literally, if you went into his office, there are probably maybe every lure ever created is on a ring. I think you own every lure.
Yes.
Yeah, you probably have the largest lure collection of anybody.
Yes.
So where did this come from as far as like trying different lures, different colors? And I see that some of them are made in, Lucky Craft baits where you try different color combinations. Where did this curiosity and interest come from for you?
Well, I have been living in America almost like over 25 years, so over quarter of a century, and then
You're very old.
Yes, and then
Yes, maybe the oldest person here.
yeah, and then
Shh, Jeff.
and then as you know, I was born in Japan, so as a Japanese person, the U.S. is one of the largest market in this world. So we believe in this is not ours. Like this is a great given opportunity, and then through this given opportunity, we really appreciate this chance to sign the U.S. market. We really appreciate this opportunity. So first thing I did was I respected this U.S. market. So I wanted to learn about what is the best things of the U.S. lure. U.S. lure has a lot of great essence and then the great gimmick in each lures. So that was first learning I've been doing. And then, but as a Japanese nation, the JDM product, the benefit of the JDM product is part of our the benefit. So recently, Hookup Taco and everybody tried to introduce what is the JDM, what is the JDM product, the benefit. So that was the greatest opportunity I could see recently now to get back to what kind of stuff we can introduce from Japan side to the US. So my experience in the last 25 years, most of the time I was learning about the what is US lure, what is the best things of US lure. Based on the knowledge and based on that info, I try to have kind of like more like 80% of the US grade lure with 20% of the Japanese fusion JDM.
Yep.
That's what
It's
I'm trying
kind
to.
of a blending of the two.
Not too much Japanese, but I still respect the good part of the US lure.
Sure.
And then trying to put some just like a food, just like a cooking, like the U.S. food, but a little bit of
little
the
fusion,
Asian,
a little Asian, yeah, little flavor.
That's what I'm trying to.
Okay, excellent. So let's talk about where Lucky Craft is right now and trends that you're seeing and things that are successful for you. I see that you have some color patterns here.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about
Yes.
that, or what would you like to talk about?
Yeah. First of all, I'd appreciate Fortunately, Lucky Craft has the ghost minnow cutter. We've been selling this ghost minnow cutter pretty good. And then you told me.
I would say this is probably the most famous Lucky Craft color, right?
Yeah,
Ghost
it was
Minnow.
fortunate.
And I think this was probably so the first Lucky Craft lure I ever threw is actually Aurora Black.
Yes.
But then the first one that I bought was Ghost Minnow.
Yes.
And I think probably pretty much every brand on the planet now has created some version of this color, right?
I'm guessing this one coming from old Japanese cutter called Wakasagi cutter. I think Ski Trees or somebody went to Japan factory and then painted this cutter, and it happened. And you told me that the NC coating ghost minnow should be good, so we started to brought NC ghost minnow. This has been very popular recently.
I'm a sucker for matte.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of a no-brainer to add in the lineup. And if you guys hear giant planes going over, that might be our plane to Japan, Jeff. That you made us miss this morning. But sore subject. Keep going.
Yes. So since by that time our benefit is ghost minnow cutter, so we introduced ghost minnow cutter plus NC ghost minnow, and then MS ghost minnow, and then metallic half ghost minnow, and plus you introduced us we made a otaku shad cutter.
Right, but I didn't introduce that to you. You helped me figure that out on that otaku shad color on how to do that. So
this is kind of like otaku ghost minnow.
I like it. I like it. Yeah.
The silver cheek ghost minnow color. This has been very
Just
popular.
a little flash on the fin, a little flash on that cheek is pretty awesome. Real quick before we keep going, the magic scales. You've been doing magic scales for a long time.
Yes.
And I don't know if Lucky Craft was the first brand to implement magic scales on a mass production, but it's the first brand I knew of to do it on a bait. I think you guys do it incredibly well. Every color should have a magic scale version,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, can we do that?
Yes.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our Japan side president, she did the American shot with magic scale cutter.
Yeah.
That was the first cutter Lucky Craft has been so popular with this magic scale cutter.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I brought it to the Ghost Winner too.
Yeah, and if you guys are new to Magic Scale, I can't imagine at this point that anybody's new to like American Shad. But Magic Scales are basically kind of like almost like a sticker, like a scale
Yes.
pattern. But as the light hits it, it shifts in shade of color and what it gives off. So, depending on where the bait is, it could be purple or blue or gold or orange or red. So thus the magic
Yes.
of the scale that it's giving off some different colors. It's just a great way to take a color that's natural like Ghost Minnow and give it a little bit of pop that's still very neutral, but a little bit of shine. So yeah, I really like that one too. So Ghost Minnow's been still crushing it for you
Yes.
all these years later.
Yeah, we were almost forgetting about Ghost Minnow has been so popular, but you remind us really good. So we brought all of the 5 different Ghost Minnow pattern.
Excellent.
Ghost Minnow color is just like the green pumpkin color in the soft plastic. So it's been so popular.
Just a staple.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see, one of the challenges to Lucky Craft over the last few years has been so many colors have gone away from some of the lures,
Yes.
right? So it's nice to see that you took these 5 Ghost Minnow patterns
Yes.
and you put them in a bunch of lures. So we have them in pointers, we have them in the LVs, obviously that we just showed, we have them in the lightning pointers. Like you're starting to bring them throughout the line, which is really nice. It's very user friendly for us when we could identify with one color, like, oh, I love this NC Ghost Minnow, and actually get it in a pointer and get it in, an LV and get it in different baits.
Yeah.
That's nice. So thank you for making it in
Yes.
multiple baits.
Thank you very much.
So, Japan trend and JDM tackle trends, right? This is always something that I'm super curious about. Obviously, it's my job to stay on top of it, right? It's stuff that we have conversations about quite a bit. You stay on top of this at least as much as me, if not more than me. right? But obviously, since you have the factory and you guys are OEMing for a lot of brands as well, so you're selling Lucky Craft, you're creating lures for a bunch of other brands. Talk to me about where you see the trend of lure fishing in Japan. Where is this going? Let's talk about
Yes.
this trend here for a little bit.
As you know, the 25 years ago, 30 years ago, bass fishing has been so popular in Japan. Almost like over 70% of the market is bass fishing. Right now, bass fishing has been so small because of a lot of restriction. We can't do a lot of catch and release. So the area pond fishing has been so popular. What the differentiation of the area pond fishing is, the area pond, everybody has to pay to get in, and it's kind of like a private area. So so that way there is not much restriction going on. We can do catch and release, okay. So that kind of area pond fishing has been so popular. As you know, everybody using small boats like these. So each area pond has a history and the tradition. So each pond has a little small trend for each color. So everybody enjoying about the kind of pink color tendency or green color tendency or
Yep.
shad pattern tendency.
Yep.
Yeah. So everybody enjoying like area pond fishing.
Do you find that pond to pond the colors are different? So some ponds they like the pink, some ponds they like the shads or the greens or whatever the case may be.
Yes. The everybody started area pond fishing with this kind of spoon, rated the
Like rodeo craft spoon or a forest spoon,
yeah.
something really like a 1 gram, little
Yeah.
tiny spoons, right?
Yeah, and then everybody started to enjoy from the spoon fishing, but this kind of crankbait is easy to feel the vibration, and they can reel very slow.
Yes.
And so people start to use crankbait a lot recently.
Okay.
And then since this area pond fishing is all the fish is stocked, so reaction is so easy.
Okay.
Reaction is so good.
Yeah.
So people can catch. a
Okay.
lot. So that way, all the fishermen can see the difference of the reaction by color.
I see.
So many people can figure out easy what pink is good or green color is good. Depend on the color, depend on the weather, depend on the water condition.
Yeah.
So that way, I would say the Keep Cast you're going, we're in
Yes.
Nagoya.
Yeah.
Nagoya people really like this kind of pink and orange and green.
So they like
Yeah,
crazy colors.
yeah.
So yeah,
And
crazy
then-
women, crazy colors. That's Nagoya.
I would say. And then
Buckle up, Jeff.
Tokyo, Kanto area, everybody like a pink and light pink, that kind of color too.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
each pond has a little different trend.
Yeah. So let me elaborate on a few things that you just mentioned, right? And just make sure that I'm understanding it correctly. So when you guys hear us talk about pond fishing in Japan, you may hear us refer to pond fishing, which would be just like it would be here, pond fishing in the US, where it's a pond, right? It's just kind of a public pond or, maybe a private pond that you snuck onto, but it's just a traditional pond. But then when you hear the term area included in it, that's really meaning more of like a private,
Yes.
like not, it's a pay to fish kind of
Yes.
place,
Yes.
right? So it's a more of a stocked type pond. So here, like in California where you are, Arizona where we are, we have stocked ponds that we call urban, right? So like Mile Square where we
Yeah.
fish, or like in Kanto where I fish 5 days a week and never catch anything. They're stocking fish, but it's not a pay to fish. It's kind of public, but that would just be a pond. An area pond is a highly managed place, right?
Yes.
So the difficulty in Japan lure fishing is that while bass fishing is probably still like the holy grail, like everybody wants to be like Skeet Reese holding up a giant bass with a big lure, it's so hard to catch in Japan.
Very hard.
It's very hard. So as you get new entries into the category and new anglers come in, it's hard for them to catch fish. So this idea of pond fishing, whether it be area pond or traditional pond, lets them actually catch something. And so it's gaining a tremendous amount of traction, whether it's trout, and I would say most area ponds are trout,
Yeah.
some bass, right?
Yeah, 90% is trout.
Okay. And then some are bass, but then when you're just to like regular ponds, more like public ponds, those are primarily bass. So when you're creating these lures, right? When you're creating these crankbaits, are you thinking of somebody being able to fish for trout and bass? Or what's the mindset when you're creating like these little crankbaits? Like I know, this is like the Max, right? That has the weight transfer system in it. Like this is going to be a much more, even though it's a small crankbait, this is much more robust than like this little guy.
Yes. Well, first time we introduced this area pond crankbait, it was very fortunate. It was just lucky. We knew everybody was using this spoon and minnow, so we wanted to do something change, something different. So that's why we introduced this crankbait. But eventually, crankbait is the best tool, best lure for reading little slow, more vibration. So eventually, we found out crankbait fishing in the area pond is good for beginner people. So that is how we start to have interest for this lure. And then right now, so many people really like crankbait fishing in the area pond. We didn't mean to catch for trout. We meant to make this lure for
the angler?
For the angler. We didn't have so much aiming.
Okay.
We were
So
just lucky.
it was more designed at the fisherman to give a tool that was a little easier to use that would transmit vibration.
Yeah.
If it catches a trout, if it catches a bass, if it catches a crappie, that's bonus.
Yes.
Okay, understood. So this is something that we talk about on our show a lot because we carry a lot of these smaller baits like crappie line and the little bevy cranks and a lot of the stuff that maybe is designed at area stuff. It doesn't mean it has to be for a stocked trout, right? A lot of times they'll come with a single hook, but you can change to a treble hook and you got a bass lure. Like this would be a killer little pond bass lure, right? I might take this one home actually. So you put some treble hooks on there. That's going to cast great. Are you seeing a trend in even bass fishing going to these smaller baits?
I have to say, in Japan side, since the bass fishing is very limited and prohibited, so many people still want to enjoy the fishing. They might migrate to the area pond fishing. The benefit of the fishing is, first time I came to the U.S., one of the benefits for the fishing is, even if I exaggerate, even those 3-year-old kids with a 70-year-old grandparent, they can go fishing together and then they can enjoy together. They can spend the same moment together. That was the benefit of the fishing. So even though Japan, I still want a lot of Japanese people, even old people, even younger people, even different generation people, stay at the same moment, same location, same place, to enjoy the fishing together. So this bass fishing is limited. That is very unfortunate. But if there is another way to enjoy the fishing together, that's what we wanna encourage.
Yeah.
So the area pond fishing is now where we wanna encourage more for the Japanese nation to enjoy fishing.
Interesting. So outside of crankbaits, right? So I know that there's lots of other alternative things, especially when we're talking about trout world. There's little jerk baits. There's like great hunting things, sinking pointers, crazy kind of worm type looking things. What else are you seeing trending right now in the hard lure realm?
Yes. Let me start with this deep crappie.
Okay.
This is obviously kind of wide banded crankbait. It's more like a American traditional wiggle rod imitate or wiggle rod trend style of the crankbait.
Okay.
One of the benefits for this kind of wide body crankbait is it is obviously we see a lot of water resistance.
Right.
That means we can reel slow.
And that water resistance is going to be on the lip, but also
Yes.
on the body. So the whole bait is creating resistance. So you're feeling that back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that way, people can reel with certain line tension
Okay.
and slow speeding.
Yep.
That is eventually really good for catching trout fishing. That was like it's pretty much bonus.
Okay.
We didn't mean to, but
Right.
eventually it was.
Turned into a good way. Yep.
If I see the bass fishing, especially the cold water situation, January, February,
Yep.
all the fish is staging somewhere to go to the pre-spawn area. That time, all the fish cannot follow or cannot run very fast. That time wiggle rod working really good. Recently like a Spro's RC crawler,
Yeah.
that kind of slow retrieving crankbait is really good in cold water situations. So area pond fishing, this kind of like a slow retrieving crankbait has been so good for catching trout. Based on the things, from our standpoint, this is the basic to the go-to bait at
Okay.
the beginning.
Okay.
If we don't catch, then we go to this kind of shallow running. We call it wow.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, start from the middle of the water, deep
Yeah.
out of the water.
Okay.
Then go to the shallow water.
Okay.
And then we call it like unfair 35.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
kind of bend baits, more like jerk bait.
Okay.
We gotta do steady retrieving.
Yep.
But this kind of stringy, slim body
Yeah.
makes a little reaction. Sometimes paints reading.
Okay.
So, like, start from this, shallow cranking and jerkbait style cranking.
Yep.
And this one has been so popular in Japan. It's called GJ, Eagle Crow GJ.
Yeah.
It's been crazy good.
Yep.
Japanese brand, This Proud, is making this lure. This thing is crazy. Reel down and up, down and up, and then trout is quite crazy.
Interesting.
So, yeah. If I say the latest trout trend,
Yeah.
is GJ, this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
then,
More of that worming style,
Yeah.
just down and up. Yeah.
And then if I say basic trend is this kind of
Crankbait type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that the crankbait probably has more crossover appeal to bass,
I think.
right?
Yes.
And then some of the crazier shapes, probably more, I would say more specific to like a stock trout
Yes.
type thing. So if you're a multi-species angler, playing in some of these smaller crankbaits and smaller jerkbait type bodies, probably the place to go, right?
Yes.
Okay. What about, so years ago, that the whole eye motion trend in Japan, that Wakasagi trend became super popular, and it kind of went away. And now I feel like it's really coming back again. Are you feeling that at all? That
Yes.
Wakasagi shaped
Yes.
bait? Okay.
I don't know how I should say or not, but in Japan, since we cannot release the bass, a lot of reservoir and pond, they raised all the Wakasagi and released. So we have a tendency that most of the Japan lake has a lot of Wakasagi, and then this kind of the oil speeder, oil speeder, and like got Wonder, and I don't see here, but kind of Hanku,
Yep.
the oil speeder, Hanku, they have a lot of a good Wakasagi imitation, and then Depths has I forgot the name, but
It's just called Wakasagi.
yeah,
It's called the Wakasagi
bait. Yeah, yes.
Wakasagi bait. Yeah.
That kind of Wakasagi imitation. That bait has been so popular in Japan. Yes.
So, something that I found interesting, and maybe I should have known this already, but Wakasagi baits can have a lot of application in the U.S. as well. Obviously, the color Wakasagi has been a staple. It's kind of the base of ghost minnow, like you talked about, right? But Wakasagi are generally more smaller. They're more like a minnow, I would say here, than a shad, right? Longer, thinner. But something that's very interesting to me about the Japanese brands and their Wakasagi trends is that I think so many times in the U.S. when we make a a hard lure to imitate a bait fish, we make it to be a swimming type lure, right? So we're imitating a shad that's swimming away or that's alive, or a bluegill that's swimming away that's alive. But a lot of the Wakasagi lures are built to imitate dying
Yes.
versions of them. So can you share with us how we know, like, if a bait is, you know, like a live and active Wakasagi versus like a dying Wakasagi? Because maybe that'll help us understand how we even use the baits.
Yes, the Wakasagi itself, you know, the Wakasagi is one of the largest bait fish in Japan. I mean, the biggest population,
Right.
Largest population. So that way, maybe the Wakasagi in Japan is a Tennessee shad in America.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then their life is only 1 year. They were born somewhere in April, spring, and then they die in somewhere in the February to March. So that way, the pre-spawn season, the Wakasagi is almost ending and dying. So that way, how can I say, it's probably it's a different species, but you know, somewhere in May and June, the Mayflower pattern, like all the fry is dying and top water is really good. So in February, March, this dead Wakasagi pattern, like top water is pretty good.
Okay.
So that way, just a straight, you know,
Okay.
throw it to the bank
Yep.
or throw it to the shallow area.
Yep.
Do nothing, just shaking.
Right. So I mean, literally, these baits are kind of designed to literally do nothing,
Yeah.
right? Or very little, I should say. So when you have a bait that's designed to sit vertical but has some type of joint, that's more of like a dying
Yes.
Wakasagi.
When the bait fish is dying, they are literally like shaking on the surface.
Okay.
So we say it's dead Wakasagi
Yep.
float like
So
sideways.
they're gonna float sideways, and then maybe
Yeah.
just every once in a while,
Yeah.
like just give a little
Just-
kick. So you know, we have a tendency so many times to like overwork our baits, right? We want our baits to have these big movements or lots of movement. This is a style bait that's almost designed to do the opposite.
Yes.
Less is more of this.
And then this dying Wakasagi is
Yeah.
floating this way.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Understood. Yeah. So, you know, keep that in mind as you guys are playing with some of these Wakasagi baits. That it's not always about fast movements, sharp movements. Sometimes it's just finesse and light and just very subtle movements. Sorry, now Jeff just only wants me to have the spotlight. Yeah. So, since we've talked so much about smaller lures and kind of this trend of, you know, would you consider Lucky Craft a bass brand first?
We started from Bass brand.
Yes.
And then since so many good brands coming over,
Yep.
then we started to introduce a lot of sea bass lure and area pond lure. So we're pretty much fusion hybrid brand.
Yeah.
And then we came to the U.S. and U.S. is strictly for the bass tournament lure before. And then now we started to do a lot of pond lure, saltwater lure, and then river trout lure too. So eventually, like La Para is great company, the ultimate company, hard lure company. So they have all kind of stuff. So like we started from the bass fishing lure, but right now we have a freshwater, saltwater, trout lure, pretty much the all kind of lure.
Yeah. I would say that all of your lures, though, have this, like, the soul of a bass lure. So, like, even in saltwater, like I know here in Southern California, like, the flash minnow is like a staple in saltwater surf,
Yes.
right? But the flash minnow, I remember throwing a flash minnow for bass, like, very long time ago, maybe before Jeff was born.
Me
right?
too.
Yeah, so, you know, these are lures that had a foundation in bass fishing that have just turned into great, you know, little tweaks, and now it's a great saltwater lure, or little tweaks and now it's a great trout lure. Like Pointer 65, that's an amazing trout lure.
Oh.
So what are you seeing for trend? You know, I know we talked about some of the ponds and stuff. are you seeing trend more into the stream and river side of things as well with these baits?
I think the basically since COVID, everybody since lockdown, everybody couldn't go out for the traveling. So this kind of river trout fishing has been so popular in the last 3-4 years. Then that time, our smaller lure like this, like half back middle, pointer 65, pointer 50, pointer 65, those kind of small bait has been so popular.
Yeah.
And then, river trout fishing long time, the superstar hero is La Para Countdown.
Sure.
So that kind of bait size has been so popular. So our pointer 65 became really good right now.
And I know that you've got the suspending version, which is the original. There's floating versions, there's sinking versions,
Yes.
which is new in that line. So now people have the ability. Suspending usually is going to be more of a traditional twitch and jerk bait. A sink is going to be more of like a current where you can kind of get it down there and then just kind of hop it up so that it darts and then shimmy falls,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. So and then we start to have a pointer 50 sinking and super sinking. So those two baits. This has been so popular right now.
So Jeff and I are on our way to Japan. We've got some things to do, but we're gonna eventually at the end of the week end up at the Keepcast show. And one of the reasons why we wanted to go to the Keepcast show is I know that Lucky Craft is going to do a booth there, and it's amazing to see that even with everything happening, there's still that spirit of wanting to be a part of the community.
Yes.
Right? So we were excited to go and say hello and be there to support. What should we expect to see so Keepcast, just so you guys know, is kind of this crazy show that happens once a year in Japan in Nagoya, where it's a consumer show, but the brands kind of showcase some of the latest and greatest, but then they also do like custom color runs that are just available for this show. It's kind of like a custom
Yes.
show in a way. What should we expect to see? What do you think we're going to be seeing there?
Yeah, Keepcast is the founder of the Keepcast is Norio Tanabe, who is a Japanese legendary fisherman. So that's basically Keepcast was made for the bass fishing influence and bass fishing the show, but because of the recent area pond trout trend, and so you're gonna see a lot of trout lure, pond trout lure.
Okay.
And plus river trout lure. So you
Okay.
can see a lot of downsized baits over there. So that kind of new product I want you to find out and enjoy for
Okay.
seeing.
Yeah.
But they still have a lot of good bass fishing lure too.
Yeah.
So that may be very interesting.
Yeah, well, it's been really fun to try to see what of these smaller downsized baits have a lot of game in that crossover, both trout and bass. You know, I know you and me have spent a lot of time throwing like the LC 0.3 and 0.5 in the pond stuff. So it's been fun to try to implement some of these, you know, crappies and the different baits. So I think you guys will have a lot of fun if you just want to just have a good experience, whether it's from pond fishing, bass fishing, you know, stream or river trout. You know, maybe consider adding some of these different baits to your arsenal, or if you're just a hardcore bass fisherman, there's ghost minnow.
Yeah.
Right. There's always that to fall back on.
Yeah.
So, well, we're gonna get out of here. Let's grab a beer before we go. But Manolo, thank you for giving us the time, and I'm really happy that things are improving in Japan for Lucky Craft, and I think you're doing an excellent job here in the U.S. I know that everybody's excited that we're seeing more baits and exciting colors. So let's keep it going.
Thank you.
Okay, and enjoy, guys. Thank you for giving us the time. We'll see you again.
Yes.
Yeah, soon. Okay. Peace out, my friends.